plenty of people joining us now. So welcome everyone to another Hoot Host Community Group webinar. This is our first webinar of June, and we did take some time off in May. So I am very excited to be back with all of you today. Winning with SEO in the age of AI. Before I go ahead and get started, just a few little housekeeping notes. I'm going to repeat myself a few times here, but I want to make sure everyone knows. I see a lot of people joining right now. So this is our YouTube live experience. If you found this event from Alignable and you have a question that might come up through the course of the presentation, just go into messages on Alignable, send me a message. I'm going to make sure I get you in on the Q&A at the end. But if you're right here on YouTube and you're watching and you're able to interact, join the live chat right here. Throw your questions in there. The chat always gets really lively during these events, and I will make sure I get everyone's questions in at the end. So today, winning with SEO in the age of AI. Today, we're going to explore how to leverage changes that are happening with Google and search engine optimization in this whole new age that we're living in with AI. I want everyone to really kind of understand the changes that have happened and how you can effectively drive results online despite everything that's been going on. So I hope everyone will be able to use this presentation packed with professional guidance and recommendations. Topics included in today's presentation is zero-click searches and generative AI. We're going to kind of just explain what's going on in the current search environment and a lot of the changes that are going on and kind of how it affects website traffic. We're going to talk about the decline of traditional SEO, kind of how like a lot of the kind of old principles and ideas of search engine optimization, a lot of those concepts, they just don't work anymore because Google has really changed the landscape so much. We're going to talk about some of those changes actually with Google deprioritizing redundant content. We're going to talk about, kind of like the right way to write your content so that you can stand out. And now with the competition for clicks being so high, what are the strategies that you need to implement in order to, just continue to get a positive amount of organic search engine traffic and really just try to stay up to date with current standards. We're going to talk about how to use AI for your content strategy. It's not meant to be this, evil thing that, you should totally be against. You don't want it to do everything for you because that's going to hurt you, but you can still use it as an assistant for frameworking and, concepts and really building out your content. So we're going to talk about the right way to do it and, the pitfalls and things you should avoid with AI as well. And part of that is kind of like this concept I'm going to bring up to everyone of like content production versus content publishing. So we're going to talk about just strategies for, producing and releasing your content. We're going to talk about SEO's evolving role in building your online presence and how, you should kind of approach the overall sort of like traffic and marketing strategy of your online presence as a multi-channel process, but search engine optimization and search engine's role in that, and what's a plan for moving forward with, a lot of the changes that have been happening. And a big part of that is what we call strategic engagement optimization, or what I call now the new SEO 2.0. So I'm going to unpack strategic engagement optimization and everything that goes into that. So let's go ahead and jump in here today. Let's start off with just kind of like what's been going on. What are the big changes? Why are people seeing a lot of things happening? Let's talk about the rise of zero-click searches and generative AI responses. So if you've gone on Google lately, you've seen the search landscape just keeps evolving. And, so there's so much changing with Google, and thus our approach to targeting our audience needs to as well. So more searches than ever before are just being provided answers directly on Google. So this shift reduces the amount of organic website traffic that you're receiving, and it's making it harder for your average small business especially to really rely solely on those traditional SEO techniques. So here's a crazy stat for you. Ready? Almost 60% of searches in 2024 resulted in a zero-click interaction, meaning that someone went to Google, they typed in a search, they were looking for information on something, and they didn't have to visit any website. Google basically just gave them the answer that they were looking for, and they just moved on with their day. No website was visited. So you're working so hard with your website, writing blogs and articles and FAQs and great content on all of your pages in order to get out there and get found more. But because of all the changes that Google has made, so many people are just getting their answers and what they were looking for directly on Google. And they're not even going to, the top ranked websites or the websites that come up as results. So, and now even a further step beyond that is in 2025, just recently, Google has introduced AI mode, which now they have like the smallest focus on showing websites results than ever. It's basically this kind of like ChatGPT looking experience where you can have a conversation with the Google search engine and they just show you like 8 or 9 little search results on the side. So basically now the competition for clicks is like at an all-time high. And keep in mind, we're talking about, that it does sound like a big scary number, like 60% of searches ended up, we're considered a zero-click search, that no website was visited. But even in what's remaining there, we're still talking about billions and billions of searches. So, it's not this factor of like you're never going to get traffic from Google ever again. It's about we have to change our strategy to be relevant and kind of keep up with that high level of competition for clicks now. So these AI generated responses, they're providing users with instant answers. They don't need to go and visit a website, but for the people who do, we want to be able to kind of like create the content and the strategy to be relevant to our specific target audience, and that's going to encourage people to actually click on us in the small amount of results that do come up for searches. So this is all about just kind of like adapting and prioritizing engagement, especially in strategic targeting, that's going to resonate with your ideal audience, so that you can kind of combat all these changes and zero click kind of responses that are going on. So, this also kind of plays into like the decline of traditional SEO. A lot of the old keyword stuffing and, best type of business, near this city, those type of things, like they just don't really work anymore. So we have to talk about like, what are the newest strategies, and really the things that Google is even telling us that we should be doing, both with our content and with our website's user experience, and just kind of avoid like a lot of these traditional SEO tactics that just, are not really relevant anymore. So SEO strategies that used to boost ranking through simple keyword stuffing and similar content concepts, they've just kind of lost effectiveness with a lot of the changes that are going on. Google's AI is just kind of like filtering out all that like redundant and low value kind of stuff that's just not really considered like a high quality result. And they're actually favoring more content that's original, insightful, and genuinely helpful as well. And we're going to unpack all of that in our upcoming topics here. But just some key takeaways here of like what kind of like is not really working anymore, and like how you kind of should be like focused is, doing like exactly what I was just describing, like that best business in my local city content. That's so saturated and just like not effective anymore, especially for small and medium businesses. Writing content that's like kind of similar to all your competitors. How many times have you gone to a dentist website and you're doing some research and you see like their blog or like their recent articles, and like all of that content is just like so generic, and it looks like every other dentist website you've ever seen. And I've been hearing that more and more from business owners lately too, that they feel like every website I go to now, it's like they're all kind of starting to just like look the same and the content's all the same. A lot of that is because of AI, but it's also just because of like templatizing the web. So like, it's really about like getting away from that type of, like just kind of like generic sort of, like approach to our website, and just trying to be more original, insightful, helpful, and really showcasing your own unique value. Unique value is going to be something that I really, really talk about a lot today. And especially when it comes to the search engine changes, like search success is really going to demand, taking your content way further than what AI could do. You have to come on with more depth, more nuance, personal experiences, your unique professional experience. And when you put that all together, especially with a brand voice, we're going to talk about that too in a second, that's what's really kind of making like your own unique value, and really kind of like the next big step of that as well is focusing on, actually like, where are the people who are finding my content? Where are they at in the journey? Are they just doing research? Are they looking to hire someone right now? Are they trying to get in touch with someone immediately? And we have to write specifically to that intention. So it's not just about like keyword optimizing and trying to be number one. You can be number one, but like number one for who? It's all about like, that strategic targeting of just your audience, just the people that are going to matter to your business, and also thinking about their intent. And like, are they finding a blog post and just doing research? Are they finding one of your service pages and now they're actually like in consideration and they're looking to, get in touch with your business? Or are they just doing research? Is it kind of like, just consumer, general research that they're doing? So thinking about that intent as well, and writing to that intent, again, with that original, insightful, and actually really helpful content and information, that's the way to kind of stand out and get above this, kind of big AI shift that's happening. So let's kind of just like dig into this a little deeper. I just want to kind of like emphasize to everyone, like, get away from the generic blogging and the generic kind of like the way you write your service pages and everything like that. Unique value and being meaningfully different. than other websites, that's the way you're going to stand out from the crowd. And that's the way your website is actually going to help you achieve the online results that you're looking for. If your content can basically be like summarized by AI and just that short little snippet that comes up, then it's not even worth ranking. And that's kind of what's happening is people who are like pumping out thousands and hundreds of blog posts that are just written by AI because they're just trying to like hit certain keywords and hit certain phrases that are going to come up through search engine result pages. Google is deprioritizing all of that stuff. And people are actually getting de-indexed from search engines completely because of that tactic. You can't beat the system. I mean, the search engines are basically still the center of the internet. They make the rules and we just have to play by them. But, they are still giving us like the correct kind of, way to stand out and the correct way to kind of, play by the rules and still, achieve online success. It's just a matter of like staying up to date with these current standards. So, the AI search is going to reward content that, again, offers something new and goes deeper than what that little generative AI response can give. So, if you're just doing like that redundant template style kind of blogs that, you're just giving out like generic information, you are basically invisible. What you need to do is, again, really focus on like that unique value, being original, and just going much deeper than like that general AI kind of response. The other thing too is like, I talk about this to a lot of business owners. It doesn't matter if you have like just a basic 5-page website or you have, a really, high level website with a lot of content pages and a lot of things going on. If you have just like thin content through all of your pages, I go to your about page, I go to one of your service pages, and it's a couple hundred words, just a quick little breakdown of what you do, and just get in touch with me, and like that's the whole service page. That is like not really kind of helping your relevance and your authority. You need to really expand upon your content, do it in an original way, and really kind of tell your story. It's just that's going to really help you, especially from like the authority standpoint, and just really have Google see your website and your content as just a higher quality ranking. And that's what's going to, help you kind of still drive in organic search engine traffic. So, the more content that stands out, the more you're going to be prioritized. And that's kind of the way you have to think about it. Again, avoid like the generic, just like, low level, you're just kind of putting out like general information. Put the time into your content to be original, insightful, helpful. Especially Google loves helpful content. And the more that you do that and you offer that unique value, you showcase why your business is different, what you bring to the table for your specific target audience, that's the way you're going to get away from like, that redundant kind of content and looking like everybody else. And when I read your website page, it just kind of feels like it could be any other business. It's uniquely you. And that sort of authenticity is what's really going to help you be prioritized and still continue to get organic search engine traffic. So I always get this question too, whenever we're talking about this. People go, well, what about AI though? Like, I thought I could use AI, I could use ChatGPT or, Gemini or one of these platforms to like actually, help me write my content and, and have better results and have more depth on my content and everything. Yes, but also no. Because you should be looking at it from a standpoint of this is just another tool in the toolbox, and yes, it can help you kind of like create outlines and get good ideas and do research even, and improve your formatting and things like that as well. But realistically, you should only look at it as like a partner. It's a tool. Don't be letting it do everything for you, because again, that you're just going to end up with that redundant content. You're going to be just like everybody else. But you can still use it for like ideation and, really helping you kind of, bring your own words and your own sort of like vision with your content to life. So, let's just kind of break this down. AI is not your competition, and it is not some big scary thing either. It should actually be seen as your partner. You can use it to brainstorm and summarize and repurpose content and draft ideas, but you always, always, always have to apply human creativity in order to elevate it, make it original, insightful, and really have your own authenticity, your own personal touch on it. Again, unique value and authenticity. Those are really big words for today. So, again, like use AI as just kind of like that tool in the toolbox, but that final content should always be fact-checked, human enhanced, and always thinking about like maximum engagement and maximum optimization for your specific target audience. So, it's all about just like, again, showcasing your unique value and just focusing on the intent of the audience that's reading it. Where are they in the journey? We're going to unpack that a little bit more in a minute. but also, who is the audience that matters to your business, and those are the only people you care about with your website content. um, you know it's good to like kind of use AI to kind of like blend in, but realistically, and like, kind of have like that, nice, styled content that's going to be kind of, just helping you kind of, build it up a bit, but you still have to, kind of like bring in your own personal touch, because AI doesn't know your specific lived experience, your expert opinions, your advice, your insights, things that you know from your career and your life. You can give AI the best prompts in the world, but it's never going to be as unique in its value, in its experience and stories it can tell, even jokes and, fun little ways to entertain your readers. Like that all has to come from you. And the way I kind of describe this is like, think about like your brand voice. We always talk about branding as like, your logo and your fonts and your colors and your styling, right? But your brand voice and how you write your content, that's part of your brand too. That's your authentic sort of style. So, you don't want to spend all this time to like design up all your marketing materials, your website, brochures, and printed materials, whatever it might be, everything across the board, your social media and everything. And then you're just dropping AI generic content into it. Your brand voice and the way you write, the way you address your audience and talk to them, that's just as much important. It's actually probably more important than like colors and fonts and your logo and everything like that. So, we always talk about EEAT is sort of this acronym that Google created. It's basically, it's kind of like a quality measure through Google of basically like, kind of like how to make your content more authoritative and more trusting too. So EEAT is this acronym. It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And we've done several webinars about this. I definitely encourage everyone, you're all watching right here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you just type in EEAT, you'll see all of our videos pop right up. We've done several webinars about it. But basically, EEAT is, injecting into your content like your personal experiences, your professional expertise. And when you do that over time really well, you basically earn the A with Google of authoritativeness and relevance that, like basically Google knows like, hey, this is trusted content that the audience is engaged with, and they even come back to. Other people share it as well. And when you get that A, you earn the T of trust, and that's what kind of helps you like rise in the ranks and continue to receive organic search engine traffic. So you're writing your content, right? That first E, like you're sprinkling into your content your personal experiences, stories, things that have happened to you throughout your career, all your little insights and just, advice and things like that. It has to be, again, uniquely you and your own authentic self. And then on top of that, you're putting in the second E, which is like your professional expertise, awards you've won, accreditations, associations you're a part of, your education and your background, so that, people are reading your content and they're going, yeah, you know what? I can take this person's advice and insights and stories seriously because look, they're a professional, they're accredited, they're someone I can trust, And also in that, you're basically always saying, the expert, the business owner, is me, so all of your content is like transparent as well. You're always notifying the audience that, hey, you're reading, my specific thoughts and advice, and you're learning about my specific expertise. And, so it's a trust factor. And that's really the thing that, really kind of helps you have that more authentic content, and also kind of helps you, remain relevant with search engines. So people think like EEAT is like this like formula that you can like add it to your website. That's not really what it is. It's more of a measure of quality of your content. It's how Google basically like analyzes your content and interprets what's going on. But if you do this really well and you're consistently doing this all the time with your content, think of it as like it's your writing strategy to be more authentic. When you do that really well, you're going to remain relevant, you're going to remain authority, and you're going to be relevant to your specific audience. And that's really the whole name of the game. Don't just copy what AI can already do and it can already say, because you're going to end up just like everybody else. You want to, again, like have your unique stories, your opinions, your insights, authenticity, and unique value. That's the name of the game when it comes to your content strategy. But hey, use AI as a tool to kind of help you build things up and get ideas and research. That's totally fine. And you should always think of it as like a partner and a little assistant that can help you out with things like that. So this kind of like state of mind and what I'm kind of describing to everyone is kind of like an editorial sort of standpoint. So I want to talk about like content production versus content publishing. Because a lot of what's been going on lately, especially with like the explosion of AI, is like this mass producing of content just to fill blogs and fill up your website with just like jargon information and pump out as much keyword optimized stuff as possible and hope that you're going to get traffic. And the people who are doing this, they're quickly realizing like Google's already hip to all this. You can't beat the system. And like they're just basically making you invisible. Again, like the unique value of your content is still the most important thing. And Google's prioritizing this more and more and more and changing all the standards so that the people who have always been authentic and relevant to their audience, helpful, especially, and just being, just having that level of like originality, that's still always going to be king. And that's really the way that it should be too. Just the modern approach should always be more of like a publishing thought process, higher impact pieces that serve a real purpose for your audience. So, think editorially is kind of the way I'm telling everyone to do this. It's not just about SEO. Don't just write blogs to try to get out there. I mean, yeah, you can write content and articles that are going to help you get found by your specific target audience on search engines. And, you can do that through some strategy of like, what are they looking for, and understanding that geographic relevance, topic relevance, things like that. Of course, that's kind of the optimization side of it. But again, think editorially. We don't want to be mass producing content. We want to present unique value that's high impact for our specific audience. So, one great piece is way better than like 5 mediocre, just general AI ones. I can tell so many stories about this, just having like that one impactful blog post that can be worth so much to your business. I can talk about clients of mine that, I've produced blogs for, and I see, just this one blog post that is from like 2-3 years ago, for this company, like an electrical business. And, they just have this one blog post that just consistently brings in so much traffic, and that traffic turns into leads and customers for them. So, we fast forward from producing that blog post all the way up to this day, 2-3 years later. And they're like, whoa, we're still getting so much off that one blog post because it was really insightful, had a lot of unique value, and it was really like high impact for exactly our target audience and exactly our location of where we care about for our business. And they've made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of it. Even for my own business, I have certain blog posts that I like very often go back to, and I look at them because I always see they're always bringing in tons of traffic from Google, and that traffic turns into people, jumping right over and signing up for plans with our business. So one blog post has made so much money for our business. And that's the impact of like one great piece versus like, as many AI blogs as you want that are just doing nothing and basically drive no traffic. Again, it's like kind of thinking about it from like that publishing standpoint, quality control, strategy, especially, and just being high impact. When you focus on content that promotes and, like you can repurpose it, use it to actually like kind of like be helpful, but still, drive the right traffic to your business that's going to turn into leads and customers. And it's just building like, that maximum online presence for you. That's the difference between mass production and quality publishing. So let's talk about, kind of like the multi-channel effect of this and like SEO's evolving role and how to like promote your online presence and continue to build it over time. So SEO today is kind of more about like brand building and certainly engagement, which we're going to really unpack in a few minutes here, than just keyword ranking and like trying to be number one for some search. SEO is really like, it's about like supporting your brand's authority, not just driving traffic blindly. We need to think about the intent. We need to think about the value to the audience. EEAT, I talk about it so much, we've done so many webinars on it, but just remember that acronym and definitely check out our other videos on it because it'll be a game changer for you, kind of give you that strategy to be more authentic, but when you're kind of like tracking your outcomes more along the lines of engagement and leads and conversions, how many form fills you're getting, not just trying to be number one on some search result, because that's just kind of like not a metric that even really matters anymore. It's more about like from the traffic that you do receive. I don't care if it's 10 people or 100 people. from those 10 people that came in, did we get a conversion? Did we get some type of form fill, some type of online sale? They ended up on your calendar. It's definitely more about like the engagement factor and getting something from the traffic that you receive. Because I'd rather be the guy with 10, website visitors that actually like became a customer than a million and like nothing happened. So that's really the way, we want to think about it. And, really like, with the new search experience, especially, these AI overviews, and now we have full AI mode that people are using, it's going to kind of like blur the line of like, how much traffic you're getting and, like the effectiveness of like where you're ranking and everything. Those aren't really metrics that like me personally, I really care about anymore. I care about, like really just my value to my audience, my own authority, and just again, like getting the most from the traffic that I receive and just having a presence online that is remaining an authority and just, really kind of having that impact for my specific target audience. Success should really just be seen as like, I'm a trusted source that matters to my audience. And I don't want to just be found by anybody. I want my specific audience to be engaged with me and, and actually, understand the value that I bring to the table for them. And that's going to turn into customers and leads, so as much as we're talking about this today, focusing on the search engine impact, SEO still, though, is kind of just like one part of your online presence. A truly multi-channel marketing strategy is how you build success. We want to have that authority and that presence on search engines, but we also care about, email marketing, SMS marketing, definitely like our calendars and our bookings and having a really well-crafted online journey with our website. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. Social media, especially like, having this multi-channel sort of, strategy across the board for your online presence. That's how you're going to have the highest level of success. You can still definitely put a lot of the bank on optimization and hoping that you're going to get a lot from search engines. But the businesses who are truly multi-channel and they have a strategy across the board, not just focusing on the one thing, you're going to be the most successful. But despite that, when you have a really solid technical SEO, that is the foundation of the house, basically, of how you will remain, how SEO especially will remain a key factor for the power of your online presence. So let's talk about why technical SEO still matters. I'm talking a lot about content today and, sort of like how to understand like what's going on of like what Google is prioritizing and what they're not prioritizing. But one thing that remains very clear is in order to remain visible and getting crawled and ranked and indexed on search engines, you need good technical SEO. That's the foundation of the house, and that's really what's going to help you, maintain a high level of visibility, keeping up with these newest technical SEO standards. So while engagement and content is certainly the most important thing, that's sort of like, none of that matters until we know that the foundation of the house is actually going to help that content and help that information get out there to your audience. So websites must be technically optimized to be crawled, indexed, and ranked effectively. And basically, like these core sort of like foundational things have to be in place regardless of your website platform. Otherwise, all your content and all your strategy is not really going to work effectively for you. So first off, right off the bat here, again, this applies to any website platform across the board. Integrate with Search Console and analytics. These are great tools from Google. It's going to help you monitor the index status of all of the pages and posts of your website, and it's going to give you, traffic analytics and metrics so that you actually understand like what's working and what's not, and how your audience even interacts with your online presence. Some technical things here. I'm sure questions are going to come up. Put them in the messages here on Alignable, or put them right here in the live chat, and I'll definitely answer this in the Q&A. But structured data and your XML sitemaps, these are the things that improve your search visibility and help Google basically understand like the structure, the intent, and the context of every page and post of your website. Structured data specifically is so important now with all the generative AI things going on. Very important that you make sure the structured data is properly configured for every single page and post of your website. With platforms like WordPress and Wix especially, they make this really easy. You go into the blog settings or you go into the page settings and you can find the structured data tab and make sure all that information is properly filled out. And you definitely want to put like your own personal touch, again, like that EEAT authenticity factor. Put that into your structured data as well, because that's going to help give further context and originality and authenticity to the search engine results. And that's going to help drive the right kind of people into your website. Again, we want to go deeper than what the AI snippet can give. And we want to really, give people something enticing that's actually going to make them click and realize, like, hey, this is exactly what I was looking for. We're meeting their intention. And that's really what's going to help, make the amount of organic search engine traffic that you do receive be the most relevant for your business. Structured data is so important nowadays. But also like your core web vitals, the performance and the security of your website. Fast loading and an ideal user experience is the name of the game. We don't want people to actually click on your website, go over to it, and it's taken, a while to load, especially on mobile. We've done several webinars about Google Lighthouse, how you can actually go in and make it a regular routine to go in and review the best practices, the SEO structure, the accessibility, and especially the performance of your website. And we want all of those four core metrics of the Google Lighthouse review. We want all of them to be in the green, especially on mobile. We want that performance to be as high as possible. And the best thing about Google Lighthouse too is that they give you the audits and they show you how Google is interpreting your website for those four core metrics. But then they also give you the recommendations of what you can do to make improvements. And every website always needs improvements. It's just part of the game. So just definitely make sure you're doing that and make sure your core web vitals are at a high level. Accessibility is the other one, to ensure your website is inclusive for all people and meets modern compliance standards for ADA compliance, WCAG, GDPR, CCPA. These compliance standards are very, very important. You want to have tools like Cookie Yes for GDPR and CCPA compliance, and User Way for ADA compliance. Doesn't matter your business, big, small, what kind of industry you're in. Everybody across the board, make sure you're putting these widgets in. And also, some fun little additions that I always say: have an accessibility statement in the global footer of your website and have a privacy policy. There's online generators that can help you with these things. And some websites, especially for ADA compliance, they might need an expert to come in and kind of help you make sure everything's perfect. But if you're on a platform like WordPress or Wix, there's a lot of great tools and built-in features nowadays that will really help you, make sure that you're meeting full compliance and you're meeting accessibility. This is for people with visual, hearing, mobility, developmental disabilities. Think of it not just as like a legal sort of like guideline, but think of it also as like a social responsibility. We want everybody, regardless of their situation, to be able to interact with our business online. And accessibility is very, very important. And it does actually affect your ranking as well. Google really cares about this. And then, just like some core configurations within your website, configurations for your SEO title and description, your focused keyword of every single page and post of your website, follow and no follow links. These are basically telling the bots like what page to crawl. And if you cross link to another internal page, or if you're linking to an outside website, all these little settings are very, very important. Your heading structure, proper labeling of your images and all of your attributes, all these little settings. And it's really great, especially, if you have like rank math installed in WordPress, or if you're using Wix, you have the little Wix SEO assistant that's following you around. So it gives you like a little checklist. And the best thing to do is you're making a new blog post, you're updating content on one of your pages of your website. Make sure you go down that checklist and don't actually hit the publish button until it gives you the green check mark on every single one. And then that a lot of these core configurations are covered. It's very, very important. A lot of people just jump right to publish and great, I put out a new page, but that page isn't going to do anything unless you have these technical SEO configurations done. They give you that checklist for a reason. Make sure you get the green check mark on every little setting. And then when it gives you the thumbs up, then hit publish and you'll know that you're covered basically. Another cool thing, especially with having Search Console integrated into your website. If you're using a platform like WordPress, you can jump over to Search Console and you can make sure that any new page or post of your website is actually being indexed and ranked on search engines. And on Wix, it's in the bottom left-hand corner. They give you kind of like the index status for every single page and post. Making sure that when you publish something that it's actually ending up on search results is also very important. It's not always automatic too. You got to double check sometimes. And then, of course, we can take a deep dive here. We're going to do a whole nother webinar just on these other factors, but technical SEO for voice search, making sure your business shows up on maps. A new one too is llms.txt. This is basically like, telling the AI, generative AI, what are the most important pages of your website, as well as third-party link building, getting your business listed on directories and, just like industry websites and networking websites and things like that, just to really kind of help your business have a strong online presence. If someone happens to look up your business, or if they're, kind of like looking in a geographic area that matters, and they're looking for a business like yours, and you come up and you have a great Google business profile, and your business comes up with all these other, like industry and network sites and directories. You're well listed, and like, you have a strong online presence across the board, not just your website. That also really helps with trust and authenticity and authority. It really goes a long way. So basically everything that we've talked about today, content and a lot of the changes going on with AI, and the deprioritizing of redundant content, and the kind of the shift of like, less like mass production through AI, and really trying to encourage everyone focus on like unique value and engagement especially. This is all kind of leading to a lot of people to be like, you know what, like traditional SEO is dead. It's gone now. Like, all these old school keyword things, like, that's not really the name of the game anymore. You notice today I talked a lot more about content than just trying to like stuff keywords and, best city listings and things like that. All of this really kind of boils down to our last topic today, which is what I'm calling now SEO 2.0. It's a new SEO, strategic engagement optimization. So again, this kind of goes back to like a lot of the things we've talked about today, kind of all encompassing authenticity, unique value, high level of engagement, and just getting the most from the traffic that you do receive, because you're focusing on intent and you're focusing on just meeting people in the journey where they're at. So to succeed with what now we're calling SEO 2.0, businesses must align their content with user intent and maintaining that seamless website experience. This is all about having like, what we call the digital consumer journey of your website, like guiding people through discovery, consideration, action, even like just like kind of like making sure that we also are, keeping a high level of support for our existing customers too. We don't want our website just to be about like the traditional idea of like the buyer's journey. We really care about, making sure that like we're getting advocacy from our customers, and we're just keeping our customers happy too, with like a high level of retention. So our website needs to be like this great communication tool that is, helping us like bring in new leads and bring in new customers, and, really being helpful and being an authority to new people, but also having a high level of retention and advocacy as well, because those are really the gifts that keep on giving and really help us, build a successful business. So intent-driven content, right to engage visitors at the right stage in the journey. That's sort of like traditional like 3-step idea of like the buyer's journey. Again, nowadays we call it the digital consumer journey, but that's discovery, consideration, action. Someone discovered you from search engines through a blog post or a landing page, or or something like that. And in that article that they're reading, they're, you're answering their questions, you're being insightful and original, and you're helping them especially. And you say, hey, you want to learn a little bit more about this and what our business specifically does? Jump over to our services page, or jump over to this, this specific product page or this program page. With that one click, they're telling you that I discovered your business and now I'm willing to learn a little bit more. So now they're in the consideration stage. And here's the opportunity where you're changing your writing style, and all of a sudden you're talking about, the unique value that your business brings to the table, all of your expertise, and all, basically like what you bring to the table for that person. And then, just with right there in that moment, you're I would hope at the very least collecting some information from them, but you're giving them the option to just make that one more click and take the action of getting in contact, getting on the calendar, even purchasing something right there on the website. That 3-step process, traditionally kind of known as like the buyer's journey, is so, so important. The reason why we call it the digital consumer journey nowadays is because the last 2 steps, retention, like I was talking about, like we want to keep, even after they sign up with us or join our business or do business with us, we want to keep them happy. So things like great communication, what I call communication optimization, having great FAQs and great support, things like that. That's what, kind of keeps, customers happy. That's all about just like having a high level of retention. And then you get the last step, which is really kind of like the gift that keeps on giving, which is advocacy. People leaving you testimonials and writing recommendations and referring your business to other people. Despite all the stuff we're talking about today, like strategy and content and optimization and everything, your reputation is still kind of like the best tool that you have to market your business and who you are and what you do so well. So, when you have a high level of advocacy, those people who are first discovering you, like when they come into your business and they see all these great reviews and all these people love this business and they're a trusted authority, that's going to make them way more likely to go, okay, consideration, action, and I want to be a part of this too. So it's a full circle process. We call this the full circle model. We're right here on YouTube. Go over to our channel. You'll find videos all about this. We've done several webinars on it. But when you have that intent-driven content and you structure your website for the intentions of people and to meet them where they are and guide them through your journey, now you're getting more from the traffic that you receive. You're helping people more effectively. And, really that's kind of like helping you just have that high level online presence that is, really that great authority, high level of engagement, and ultimately helping you grow your business as well. And when you can do all of this with a great brand voice, you're talking to your audience with your own unique tone, persona, value, it's kind of like your own style, like we talked about. That's really a great way just to be more relevant and really, kind of pull people in and really engage them into that, they're actually going to be more focused on, hey, now I'm actually going to get in contact with this business. Also, like things like user-centric design, optimize your navigation, your calls to action, mobile friendliness, so huge. It's the world we live in today. It should be really obvious to everyone, but make sure you're perfect on mobile. Just clean, modern standards. I know everyone's going to have like their own unique style. You want to have, some cool, funky stuff going on because that's your brand style. That's great. But make sure the navigation, make sure the call to actions, just make sure the experience is easy for people to get through and you can guide them to your desired action, because that's the only way you're going to have results. Doesn't matter how great your style is. It could be really basic and boring, or it could be like really cool and funky. But the most important thing is that, we're guiding them through the journey and we're getting the results that we're looking for. That all kind of comes down to just conversion optimization. Create the pathways that lead users toward your desired action. Again, that 3-click kind of thought process, and our goal is always just to design a high level of a high level website that has engaging content. It's going to resonate and be relevant to our specific audience. And that's going to help you make the most of the traffic that your website does receive, especially from search engines. Again, we're now the competition for clicks is at an all-time high. So I promise everyone, if you structure your business and you structure your online presence around this concept, you will find the success that you're looking for. So just a few reminders and recap here before we wrap up. I see some questions in the chat. Don't worry, everyone. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. So SEO isn't really dead, but the old way of doing things certainly is. Things are very much different now. So to succeed in the age of AI, you have to focus your shift from volume to value, from keywords to targeted audience connection. And that's how you're going to find the success and continue to be relevant with all these changes that are taking place. So stop creating content just to rank. Start publishing to serve a purpose and be distinct to your audience and their specific intent. AI rewards unique insights, not copycat content. So, the whole new AI mode and Google, generative AI experience, it's all about your unique value, but you can still use AI tools to support you and, kind of improve your writing process, but make sure you're putting your human touch on it. You're following EEAT as kind of like a guideline to being more authentic, having your human value, being connected to your audience, and be a trusted authority in your industry. Prioritize quality. And that's really what EEAT is. It's a quality ranking. Prioritize quality and audience engagement over just, trying to take these AI shortcuts. Don't forget that technical SEO is very, very important. Follow those checklists that are built into systems like Wix with the SEO assistant or Rank Math in WordPress. Use those tools. Make sure that you're meeting these technical SEO standards. And just remember, the new SEO is strategic engagement optimization. The more that you focus on engagement and user intent and meeting your audience where they are, that's going to help you get the most from the traffic that you will receive. So with all of that said, I think now it is time for some questions. I see a lot of messages here on Alignable and some questions here in the YouTube live chat. Just while I'm going through this, I'm just going to give everyone a quick reminder here. So if you want to build your website the wiser way, Hoot is an all-in-one platform for building, managing, and growing your business with affordable website plans, CRM and marketing tools, ongoing maintenance, and managed hosting. You can easily build your own website with Hoot Builder or have our expert team build it for you on an affordable monthly plan. You can leverage Hoot CRM and our growth tools for email marketing and social media management, online calendars, and way more. You can unlock your own potential with our website marketing and coaching program. We also have monthly plans for maintenance on platforms like WordPress and Wix and Shopify, and you can get best-in-class managed hosting with us as well. Our website marketing and coaching program has a one-on-one consultation with an expert every single month. You can access our private coaching group on Alignable, which is pretty cool. So it's just for members only, and we have webinars just like this, but they're basically like curated just for you, the members. We have access to premium editorial, educational videos and resources. And we basically like work with you on a month-to-month process to help you build your strategy and find your online goals. This works for all different platforms. And the coolest part is that we include our CRM and marketing platform in the coaching program. So you get both the strategy and guidance from us, but also all the tools to achieve your online goals. And that really helps you just have everything you need to just jump right in. Make sure you join our next event, DIY Your Dream Website, Build, Manage, and Grow. You're going to be able to, basically build and manage your own powerful website. And you're going to learn how to leverage easy to customize templates, a drag and drop builder, and integrated marketing tools that are going to help you build a website that not only looks great for your business, but it's also going to help you drive your desired results. That's going to be on Friday, June 27th at noon Pacific. That's available in the Hoot Host community group on Alignable, and it's also going to be right here on YouTube Live.